Force, and the Force is with me. I'm one with the Force is with me. So be it, Jedi.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Geek News Now Cantina Happy Hour. Glad you're here. We hope you had a good week so far. It's almost Friday. Thank goodness we're almost there, almost to the weekend. Everybody's working for the weekend. I'm your host, David. We're here on the Cantina Happy Hour. We're here to talk about The Last Jedi tonight. With me, as always, is Debbie. How are you, Debbie?
Good.
Also with me, as always, is Cam. Hey, Cam.
Hello.
We're glad you're here for this one. We are very glad you're here for this one because this is a special one.
Someone's got to be the level-headed one around here.
Special for you, especially. So, and then also with us we have Charles. Oh, wrong way. Which way am I going?
Right here.
Other way. There he is. He's down here. He's down there.
Charlie.
Charlie is one of the new writers to the Geek News Now Literary Legion. You will be able to start seeing some of his stuff on geeknewsnow.net. Go read some of his articles. We're happy to have him aboard. He was enthusiastic about it and wanted to jump on to tonight's show. So welcome aboard for tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Sorry, they've got reacts now, and I'm playing with things. They're beta testing stuff. I'm just like, ooh, new buttons.
All the buttons.
Okay, Last Jedi. Okay, for before we get into The Last Jedi, just before, don't forget. So next week we have Rise of Skywalker, and then the week after that, we are not doing a Thursday show. We're doing a Wednesday show instead because Wednesday is May the 4th. Wednesday is Star Wars Day, the unofficial Star Wars Day. So on May the 4th, we will be doing a May the 4th show rather than a Revenge of the 5th show. So just a little programming notes. And then we'll be getting ready for Kenobi. We'll have about 2 weeks to Kenobi, and then we will start Kenobi, and it's going to be amazing.
That's going to be a fun time.
One can only hope.
Well, hey, you know what? You
as
and
long
Greg,
as you did all the episodes will be good.
Yeah, as long as one episode is not completely devoted to the Mandalorian and how they're going to
as long as one episode is devoted to Obi-Wan, I'll be good.
They got so. I mean, let's look at it. Hayden Christensen's coming back. Ewan McGregor's coming back. John friggin' Williams is coming back.
Can't go wrong.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna. If it's not good, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'll be extremely.
I know, right?
I mean, that would be like the ultimate disappointment.
Jar Jar pops out of nowhere for like half the episodes.
Yeah, it's gonna be like his opening in Attack of the Clones. Obi! Lisa, so smiling to see you, sir.
Oh God. Let's not talk Attack. We done talked Attack of the Clones. We've been there and done
that. I will never not bring up Attack of the Clones ever.
I know. Which, you know what? Your opinion of the Attack of the Clones is the opinion of a lot of the fans of The Last Jedi. So, let's get into Last Jedi.
Who
Debbie,
wants to start?
Yeah, I was going to say, Debbie, you've been awful quiet. And I know what Cam's thought is on this, but I'd love to hear your opinion on the Last Jedi, just in general, overall.
Me?
I like, yeah, you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I liked it.
It's okay. I rewatched it over the weekend, and it's okay. It's just that my only complaint is that it kind of messed up things that were going on in Force Awakens, and then when you get to Rise of Skywalker, it's just a hot mess. And Ryan claimed it was, this it was an original story, blah 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 blah, but yet there were so many parallels to the originals, to the
Empire.
prequels.
I was actually thinking about it and watching it, not watching it, but just going over some of the scenes in my while I was at work the last couple of 2 or 3 days, and I'm like, there's a lot of stuff in here that is Empire. You've got the young person who wants to train to become a Jedi. You have the reluctant master who does not want to train him, but eventually, him or her, eventually gives in. You've got a dark side vision. You've got a face-off between Luke and the Dark Lord at the time, even though it was old Luke and not young Luke, but still. I mean, there was a lot of parallels to Empire Strikes Back, and as I was thinking about this last week, I was like, holy smokes, it really is. There's a lot of Empire parallels. So,
well, yeah, and there's a lot from the prequel. Sorry, Keith. There's a lot from the prequels. There's a few from Rebels. I mean, I had a piece of paper all written out, and then I left it at work. So,
your notes, not the notes. Debbie.
I know I feel lost without my notes. So, but yeah, I had a page full of parallels,
similarities,
that compared The Last Jedi with a lot of the other social media Star Wars, or not social media, but movies and TV shows.
Charlie, what you thinking?
Well, I was rewatching it just earlier today, and I was just thinking there's a lot going on. There's like 4 different like plot lines that are that like keep shuffling between each other, and like cut out at like the weirdest times. Like the whole Rey and Kylo thing going on gets cut off by Poe and Finn and Rose trying to get the
Codebreaker?
The tracker, the codebreaker and the tracker off and stuff. And just
I skipped through all those.
The codebreaker betraying them was kind of obvious, I feel like.
Here's the issue I have with the betrayal. I think it was, yes, very obvious, but besides being very obvious, how in the world did he know what the rebels were going to be doing?
Yeah.
He had no clue, because that was Holdo's thing. I mean, even Poe didn't even know about it. How did DJ know about it to say, hey, point your guns away from the ship and start shooting the little transports? He didn't know. Plot hole.
Well, didn't Poe tell Finn and Rose while they were on the way over that Holdo was planning to abandon ship?
I don't know if he told them, but he said something to somebody.
I'm pretty sure he told them because Finn and Rose were talking to him on their ship while they were still in hyperspace on the way over to where the battle was happening. So, and I'm pretty sure that he said that Holdo was planning to abandon ship, and Finn said we're almost there.
Yeah, and he was like, keep him busy.
Yeah,
that's when he went. Yeah.
Okay, so
when
maybe
he did the
darn it, Cam.
My love for the film wins again.
I like The Last Jedi. Like I enjoyed it, but like I just feel like there's a lot going on.
And it gets worse with the Rise of Skywalker.
That's the thing.
But we'll get to that. That's next week's show.
Yeah. But if we're talking about, parallels to the other films and stuff like that. I think the biggest one for me, though, in regards to how this film kind of mirrors Empire Strikes Back, and honestly, even Attack of the Clones, is if you go back and rewatch Empire, at what point in the story do the protagonists ever succeed in what they're trying to do? And then if you go to Attack of the Clones, at what point do the protagonists ever succeed in what they're trying to do? And then you watch The Last Jedi. You have the story set aside of Finn and Rose going to find the Master Codebreaker. They don't succeed. The Resistance flees from the First Order. they don't succeed. Rey's Jedi training, she doesn't succeed. Rey rushing out to try and turn Kylo Ren back to light, she doesn't succeed. So it very much mirrors Empire in the sense that this is essentially the second act of a 3-act story, and so generally at the end of the second act we see our heroes,
they're
down
in a
on
precarious situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, and honestly, too, if they would have ended this movie. By the way, we're going to be talking about spoilers and stuff here. So if you haven't seen The Last Jedi and you don't want to be spoiled, I don't know why you wouldn't have seen it and you're watching this show. But hey, to each his own. But honestly, that scene at the end when they were all on the Millennium Falcon together and they were flying off, I honestly wanted the movie to end right there, just to stop right there. The whole thing with the kid in the stable and using the Force to get the broom handle and holding it up like a light, I was like, that was completely
I think that would have been good if it was paid off. Like,
or maybe
payoff if they would have.
Or done before the Millennium Falcon while they were talking about, there's hope in the galaxy kind of thing.
Yeah,
right.
So it was misplaced. How's that? If it wasn't unnecessary, it was just misplaced.
Well,
and
the way
never
that,
expanded upon.
The way that I see, I do agree that it wasn't expanded upon. At the very least, not yet. I'm sure that they'll touch on that in the future. But honestly, for me, it kind of works in the sense of what The Last Jedi was trying to do with what The Force Awakens set up as what Rey's story was heading towards, because Rey was having her nobody story basically, and the way that The Last Jedi starts and ends, it starts on Paige Tico, helping to destroy the Dreadnought, and then it ends on the Force sensitive slave boy. So the film kind of had this underlying theme that greatness and heroism could come from anybody.
Right.
And so in that sense, I found Rey's nobody story to be profound. But then, Rise of Skywalker says, oh, no.
She's got to be related to somebody.
Of course.
And if you look at it, and what I'm going to say here is going to be controversial, and I know it will be controversial, and I know people will take it out of context, and I want them to. That's fine. But honestly, if you sit and think about it, The Last Jedi of all the Star Wars movies was the greatest fan service movie that was out there. And the reason I say that is this, because in 2015, when The Force Awakens came out, everybody was excited about The Force Awakens, and it was great, and it was just like being, back in A New Hope again, and it was, what did I say? It was like eating mashed potatoes. Who doesn't like comfort food, right? So, but everybody was also complaining about it at that point, saying, you just remade A New Hope. We want something new. The fans screamed, we want something new. Enter Rian Johnson with The Last Jedi. Something completely new and different. This was a fan service film. And then, of course, the fans basically crucified him over that. So,
but I don't think it really was brand new. I mean, he followed the, like George Lucas said, he followed the poetry. It had a rhythm where, just like Kylo, he offers, he puts his hand out to Rey to rule the galaxy with him, just like Anakin did, just like Vader did. Anakin in Sith and Vader in the originals. And then you've got the dark cave that Rey goes into, where she has that mirror scene where there's a bunch of her behind her.
All kinds of stuff going on.
And it's just like Luke going into the cave facing Vader, which really ends up he's facing himself. But I mean, well, it wasn't brand new. It was just to me, it was
different though.
It wasn't consistent with the storyline coming from Force Awakens.
In what way? Because I hear people say that a lot, and honestly, I don't get it. I don't understand how, like what parts of the story were changed from film to film.
Debbie.
I'm thinking. I'm tired. It's been a long
uh,
day.
Okay, fine.
I mean,
Well,
in my opinion, it just, I don't know. I don't know. I thought it when I first seen it, and even after seeing it this past weekend, to me, it just kind of, I mean, it didn't ruin it, but it was just, I don't know.
Well, I think too something else that and this may have to do with I touched on this a little bit last week when we did The Force Awakens, and one of the things that I think people didn't like about The Force Awakens, and probably not about The Last Jedi either, and basically just the sequel trilogy in general, is the fact that it doesn't feel like Star Wars, and that was one of the things that I had noticed was that even with the prequels, you had a lot of alien races throughout the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, but a lot of the same. You had Twi'leks and Rhodians and Deverons and things like that. It was recognizable. You felt like you were in Star Wars. And JJ took, and it was almost like he said, okay, we're not going to use any of those ones because they've already been used to death, and we're going to make a whole bunch of new aliens, and that's going to be the way it is. Well, something else that they did too with the originals and the prequel trilogy was that if you watch A New Hope and if you watch The Phantom Menace, those movies are very self-contained. They leave themselves open for a sequel, but if they were to have ended where they ended, it would have been fine too. And George Lucas did that on purpose, just in case this movie flops, and I can't tell the rest of the story. At least I got to tell this part of it, and there was an ending to it. Basically, you had the award ceremony going on, and everybody was happy, and everything was hunky dory. With The Force Awakens, when it ended, it wasn't like that. It was not a self-contained movie. You had Rey there, and she was handing the lightsaber to Luke, and then boom, end. And there were questions and theories, and who is Rey, and what is Luke going to do, and was Luke mourning somebody because it looked like he was standing there in front of a tombstone, and there was just too many questions left unanswered. And I think that was, besides the alien thing, I think that was one of the mistakes that this sequel trilogy has made, and that's why I think a lot of fans don't feel like it's Star Wars, because it's like it's got a lot of the same motifs and everything, like you were saying, Debbie. They're very similar, but there's just little nuances here and there that kind of throw it off.
Well, and the one of the two things I hate about this movie, one was the whole thing going to Canto Bright.
Oh yeah, I know.
I hate it. I skip through it every single time. The first time I seen it, I laughed out loud because when they showed the code breaker, all I could think was Indiana Jones Temple of Doom. The white suit with the red plume. That's all I could think of. I laughed out loud. I was like, what the,
He when she said code breaker and a wizard with a blaster and all this other stuff, I'm thinking a Han Solo type scoundrel. I was thinking DJ. That was who, that was the DJ character, was like, that was who I expected a code breaker to look like. Not a guy in a white tuxedo with a red flower acting like a James Bond wannabe. Not now, love. Not now. Something else is going on.
And then the second thing I hated about this was, in my opinion, they cut out the best scene. I mean, you can see it in the deleted scenes, and that's where Finn faces Phasma.
Yeah,
and he confronts her.
It was the alternate Phasma ending.
Yes.
Yes.
They should have left that in because that was great. I don't know why they cut that out.
And that was beautiful too. And that explained and cohesed her story a lot more than just, oh, hey, guess what? Phasma's back. And it's like, okay, why?
Somehow Phasma returned.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Somehow Phasma returned. We
Yeah,
think it's a clone.
She was a lot better in the books, definitely.
That was one of those things, and it's like Finn with the Rise of Skywalker. There was so much they could have done with that character.
They screwed him.
And well, they did the same thing with Phasma. Phasma could have been the next Boba Fett, to where she was on screen just a little bit in each movie, and everybody loved her for some reason. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah. Well, in the book, she was her own book, not the Rise of Skywalker, or not the Last Jedi book, but her own book. I mean, she was pretty badass, I thought. And then, she really didn't do anything in the movies.
She stood there with her blaster and looked shiny.
Yeah.
That's about as much as Boba Fett did in the original trilogy. So
I mean, she looked really cool. When you seen the trailer, she looked really cool, and you're like, "Holy crap!" This is going to be one of the badasses.
Who is this one? Yeah.
Yeah. And then nothing. Absolutely nothing. I was thoroughly disappointed.
Again, threw away a character. Okay, so and let me ask you this. So we start off with Rey going to see Luke, and Luke saying the Jedi will end. It's time for the Jedi to end. I'm not going to teach you anything. Blah blah blah. The Jedi at their peak saw Darth Sidious come to power and become the Emperor and all this other stuff. Now, a lot of people have come out, and especially right after the movie was released, and it was a hashtag. It was a big hashtag march. Not my Luke Skywalker.
I like it.
Because, Luke wouldn't have done that. Luke wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have, not according to the
these non-canon books.
Yeah, not according to Legends. He wouldn't have done that. No, it's not. It's not the expanded universe anymore. I caught myself. It is Legends.
It'll always be the expanded universe to me.
Somebody asked that on the GNN Facebook page. That was what book series growing up when you were a kid, or when you were growing up, what was a book series that you could always go back to and read over and over again? And that was the Heir to the Empire trilogy, Timothy Zahn. I was in high school. I was a young high school pup, and those books came out, and I was just in heaven.
I need to read those ones. I haven't read them.
Oh, they're amazing.
What?
The only book I read was a Boba Fett book, and then the books with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan training.
Yep, check them out. They're really good. But again, that raises the question: if this is not your Luke, what were your thoughts on that? I mean, as far as how Luke was portrayed versus how he was portrayed. Yeah, go ahead, Cam. You're itching. I see you.
I know. Okay, so people's biggest complaint, first of all, is why would Luke exile himself? And probably for the same reason Yoda did.
Exactly.
His disillusionment with the Jedi. There's a lot of factors that go into that. I mean, he didn't just wake up one day and decide, "Oh well, shit, the Jedi made some mistakes. I guess I don't want to be like them." Well, no, he sees the hypocrisy of the Jedi. He sees the faults of the Jedi, and I mean, if you go back and watch Book of Boba Fett, he made the same mistakes that the old Jedi did. Forcing Grogu to choose between his family and his legacy, I guess you would say. Kind of the same thing with Ben Solo, to be honest with you. But it leads into Luke's encounter with Ben Solo in the hut at the temple. I believe I touched on this a little bit during the Force Awakens video, but I'll say it again for anybody new who might be watching this. Luke struggled with the dark side basically ever since Empire Strikes Back. You experience the dark side, and yeah, you can turn it away, but it's not just like a one and done deal. It's like, oh yeah, no, that dark side, no, I don't want none of that. I mean, first of all, Luke wasn't trained as a Jedi from a super young age, so he didn't have that stoic mentality that the Jedi had, and I mean, he was struggling with the dark side his entire life. And what does the dark side do? It feeds off your fear of loss. That's something that the Skywalker family is known for, is their fear of loss. And so Luke had a vision, but more than likely a vision from the dark side, showing him what Ben Solo would become. And what does the dark side do? It corrupts you. It makes you do things you wouldn't think of doing, like strangling your wife, like slaughtering children. So Luke, in that moment of instinct and corruption, ignited his lightsaber until he came to his senses, just like he did in Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
So it's like, honestly, the clues and the context is there. You just have to think about it critically. But it's, I don't get it.
A lot of people came to me like right after this movie with, oh, I couldn't stand it, I didn't like it. Right after, and I'd seen it 3 or 4 times in theaters already, and I would tell them all the time, I was like, you've seen the movie, but have you watched it? You need to watch the movie. You need to. I never said my piece. I like this movie. It's not my favorite Star Wars movie. I will say that right off the top. It's not a horrible movie, but it's not the best movie ever made. I don't think there is the best movie ever made. Every movie has a flaw of some kind. I don't think there's ever been a perfect movie, and I don't think there ever will be until Chris Pratt does a Star Wars movie with dinosaurs in it, and maybe an earthquake, and then you might have the ingredients for a perfect movie at that point.
No, he's in Star-Lord too, and it turns into a Marvel crossover somehow.
Oh God,
yeah.
Just bring in every Chris from the MCU. Well, we need Chris Pratt, we need Chris Evans, we need Chris Hemsworth, and you know what? Throw in Chris Pine for a Star Trek crossover too.
Just for the fun of it.
So yes. Anyway, my thoughts is this, like I said, there's never been a perfect movie, and I'm sure I will get arguments on that one too. Oh, The Godfather, or
have you watched The Godfather? It gets kooky sometimes.
Gone with the Wind is one that's come up several times.
Oh God!
Which I watched that. I actually watched it the other day. It was on TCM or whatever, and I was like, "Oh, hey, haven't seen this in a while." Again, not a perfect movie. I don't think the perfect movie exists, and I'll say that. I mean, there are parts of even original trilogy Star Wars that I don't like. I didn't care for. There are parts of Empire Strikes Back, by far in my opinion, by far the greatest Star Wars movie made. And there are parts of Empire that I didn't care for. But
yeah, well, it's no secret. People all through GNN and GNN's fan base at this point know that the Last Jedi is my favorite Star Wars film. And I'm 30 years old. I've been a Star Wars fan for 25 of those years. I've spent a very long time.
What about the 5 years prior to that?
I was all about Barney, my friend.
Oh, okay. It's a dinosaur. All right, we'll let it go. It's dinosaurs.
But I've spent a lot of time analyzing and breaking down the films, the story, the lore. I mean, and then the Last Jedi comes along and makes me question a lot of what I thought I knew, but in a good way. And so in that sense, I think that I really appreciate the subversion of typical Star Wars tropes that we've come to get used to. And besides that, I think as far as like the writing and directing, I think that it's very well directed. I mean, honestly, the cinematography is fantastic. The character interactions are great. The story is character driven instead of plot driven, like in The Rise of Skywalker. Character driven, the story revolves around the choices that the characters make and the consequences that result from them, rather than, you have to go here, and then once you go here, you have to do this, and once you do that, you have to go here and do this. But no, it's like the characters say, okay, well, what can I do? What should I do? And then they act, and then you have the story. And I think that's, I don't know. I love that. I love a character driven story.
I agree. That was one of the reasons, honestly, that I was not a fan of the Aquaman movie, because it was what?
I still have yet to watch that.
I like the Aquaman.
It was
With the
very,
exception of one person.
like I said, like you said, Cam, though, it was very plot driven. It was, oh, we've got to go get this so that we can do this, so that we got to line all the dominoes up so that everything falls just right at the end.
Yeah, well, I broke it down in my Rise of Skywalker video. I said, okay, so this movie is basically a Zelda quest. In order to go here, you need this item, but to find this item, you have to find this planet, and on that planet is the person who had this item, but that person is gone, so you have to go to the place where the item was, and you have to find this thing. It's, and then they just happen to stumble across that knife. If they hadn't just happened to see that knife buried in the sand, then the story would have never happened.
So this was a video that's on the Geek News Now YouTube channel, like a Cam and Focus video. Maybe maybe when this is over, you should go to the Geek News Now YouTube channel and check out Cam and Focus. He'll give you the rundown. We like it when he rants. It's great. It's beautiful. He's got a new rant one up there. It's really good.
Yeah, my Titan AE video came out. What was it? This past Friday, I think.
I had forgotten all about that movie.
Yeah.
That was one of those ones I saw it and I was like, oh, that was not a bad movie. And then I was like, I forgot all about that. So now I'm on like a quest to go find it now. So
well, I had to order the DVD from Amazon because I don't have the correct Hulu attachment to watch it.
It's on Hulu?
Well, you have to have like Hulu and Stars or something. You have to have a certain attachment with it.
Right.
It's on Disney Plus overseas, but that's overseas.
Overseas. So we get into this thing with Luke. Before we go any further, Debbie, what were your thoughts on? I know you have read a lot, if not all, of the EU. So your thoughts on this Luke versus what was written Luke?
Well, I mean, and first off, I have to say I have to agree with Cam. Don't fall over, Cam, because I know that doesn't happen very often. But I have to agree with Cam. And no, he's not like the Luke we know and love in the EUs. Yeah, I mean, was I totally happy with how they portrayed him in the movie? No. But like Cam said, I mean, and I've had not really arguments, but discussions with my oldest son because he hates The Last Jedi.
Oh, we should have had him on. Him and Chris.
Oh, Lord, that would have been a rant for the whole hour. But, I could see where they were coming from. I mean, this is a Luke who failed as a teacher or as a master. And Yoda kind of explains it when he comes back as a Force ghost or whatever, there on Act 2. You got to teach it all. You can't just teach, all the good things. You also have to teach the failures so that the students can understand and learn from them.
We learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, Luke evidently didn't. Well, yeah, he didn't learn that. So I can see how after Kylo, burned down the temple and whatnot, I can see how Luke would put himself in exile, much like, Yoda failed to do what
Well,
he set out to do.
And that's another thing, and I think Cam, you touched on this a little bit too. Was they said, "Oh, that's not my Luke, because that's not what Luke would do," and I always looked at it like, why is that not what Luke would do? Look who Luke had for Jedi influence.
Ben.
He had Ben and he had Yoda. And what did Ben and Yoda do? They failed and they went into exile. They put themselves into a self-imposed exile. And so Luke was looking at it going, I failed. This is what I got to do. I got to go into exile.
Yeah, I mean, everybody wanted to see, like overpowered God mode, Grandmaster Luke Skywalker.
Ooh, wait, what did he say? Go out and confront the entire First Order with a laser sword?
Yes.
Yeah. And then he did that same thing.
But see, that's what we're getting with things like, The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, the Rise of Kylo Ren comic series. What we're getting, I think Shadow of the Sith is what the book is called. That shows Luke and Lando's search for Exegol. So we're gonna get, Grandmaster Luke. We just haven't really gotten him yet.
We left him as a master in Return of the Jedi, and you jump up 30 years. Was it a 30-year timeline in between the two?
30, yeah,
30 or 40 years, something like that. Yeah. There's a lot of ground to cover in between Return of the Jedi and The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of chance to build that story back up. Charles, what are your thoughts? You've been awful quiet down there.
Well, you guys have pretty much said everything I'm thinking. I mean, one of my favorite parts of Last Jedi is Rey and Luke learning how to train Rey, and Rey. I feel like a lot of that should have been pushed into Force Awakens, though. Like, what I'm saying? Like some of the training shouldn't have been like all shoved into this one movie, because I feel like she was there training most of it instead of And then the way that she joined the other team was joined the rest of the rebels was or not rebels but resistance whatever was kind of weird. Like how she just happened to be on the other side of the rocks from them.
Well, she used the Force. She knew where they were.
And she also saw.
I think they even said sensors.
You saw the crystal foxes. Yeah. The crystal foxes. I don't know what their technical name is, but
the crystal critter. Where did the crystal critters go?
Yeah.
Reach out.
I feel something.
You feel it?
Yes, I feel it.
That's the Force.
Really?
Wow, it must be really strong
Oh,
with
I've
you.
never felt any. Ow!
You didn't like that training? Come on! Have you no soul?
See, I love one thing I love about Rian Johnson is his sense of humor. Like that, But the Last Jedi is honestly a funny movie. Whenever Rey is practicing with a lightsaber and she momentarily glances over at Luke, loses her focus and slices right through the rock when it tumbles down and just smashes past the cart that those caretakers were carrying, and they just kind of slowly look up at her. Oh God, I lost. I busted out laughing at that scene when I saw it the first time.
And even real subtle stuff too, like the scene where she and Kylo link up, and I had the clip and I lost it. God help me, I was trying to find it, and she says, "Can we not do this now? I'd rather not." And he goes, "Yeah, me neither." And he turns around and he's naked. Well,
yeah,
shirtless. He's shirtless.
I would have said the same thing. I just got out of the shower. Can we do this in a minute?
On the topic of Rey and Kylo Ren's, Force Skype sessions, I guess you would call it. There's a lot of unspoken or nonverbal character cues that are given, their second interaction. Whenever Rey is standing in the rain and she sees him, Kylo Ren says, "Why is the Force connecting us?" And she immediately goes on the offensive. She says, "Murderous snake, you're too late. You lost." And any other villain would have followed that up with some kind of monologue about how the Resistance is doomed or whatever, a la Empire. but Kylo Ren, instead of doing that, just asked her, "Did he tell you what happened?" And then you see her kind of jerk away from that, like she's taken by surprise by that. She tries to convince herself and say, "You are a monster," but that one small moment kind of cracks that facade, and she starts questioning, what kind of person Kylo Ren is from that point on.
And I like the story of, you had touched on it, that the story of Ben's fall, or what Luke's decisions led up to, and that was told 3 times, and each one of them was, I love the idea that each one of them was slightly different. You had Luke telling her one story to where it made him look good. You had Kylo telling a story that made him look good, and then Luke finally comes out at the end and says, "Okay, look, here's what really happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna break this down. Both of us did something wrong. He went bad and I went bad, and everything just went to crap from there." So I really liked that it was like, who's lying? Which one of them's lying? Which one? Oh, they were both telling the truth from a certain point of view.
Point of view.
Exactly.
I was waiting for an opening.
Everyone's favorite phrase.
So I gotta ask, because I think this is probably one of the most hated scenes,
Ruh-roh.
and I want to know what you guys thought. The Mary Poppins scene.
Oh,
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
I'll let everybody else talk
it.
first.
I thought it was really interesting. I thought, I don't know the logic behind it. I don't want to know the logic behind it. It looks cool. I'm good.
Honestly, with me, knowing what happened to Carrie Fisher after the movie was made, knowing that she died right after the movie, it would not at all have surprised me if she had not made it. If she and that's one of those hindsight things to where it's like, okay, well, we're gonna kill Princess Leia in this one, and then Carrie Fisher happens to die. It's like, oh, okay, well, everything lined up just right. But I kind of wish that they had done it the way that they did it has bothered me. And somebody once explained it to me, like, no, she was still within the shields of the frigate, which is why she was not affected by the deep space and vacuum and all that other stuff. I mean, she was pulled out, but she was still within the shield of the ship, so she still had some form, some layer of protection. And then of course she uses the Force to pull herself back. We get into Rise of Skywalker, and it shows that she has been training with Luke. There's the one scene where, so she does have knowledge of the Force, and she does know how to use the Force. So does it surprise me that she would pull herself back? No. Did I like the scene? I still think if you're going to kill Han, if you're bringing Han, Luke, and Leia back, and you're going to kill Han, Luke, and Leia, then that would have been the time for Leia to go.
Yeah, I didn't like how they got her in the end. So yeah, I get that.
And especially at the hands of her son. If it had been her son that had done it, that would have been like the ultimate. Oh
No,
it
was one of the other pilots that hit the shot.
Oh yeah, You're right. He hesitated. You're right.
He took his thumb off the button, and one of the other pilots came up from behind him and made the shot. But I didn't. But
he was leading the attack. He was in charge of things.
I didn't have a problem with it because I'm like, well, I mean, other Jedi have done it in the past. The only one I could think of off the top of my head was Kanan in Rebels. He did it.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then my argument is like, yeah, she's not a Jedi master, and she, she's more political and strategy or whatever. She's not out for, doing all the lightsaber and going out and facing people. But my thought was, you can't tell me that in the 30 plus years that she never learned anything.
Yeah. Well,
And-
there's another parallel right there. You just made me think of one, because she is a Jedi, and she is also referred to as a general. So it's like the Clone Wars all over again. sorry, parallel. Hey, it's a reach, but I'll take it.
And so something that I considered is the possibility that Leia didn't consciously do it. You know, because what's something that we've seen all through Star Wars, you know, from the books to the shows to the movies, whatever. Something that we've seen is, and especially with Rey, I talked about this in The Force Awakens, people use the Force instinctively. In life or death situations, in survival situations, they use the Force instinctively, whether it's to augment their physical ability, whether it's to up their reflexes, things of that nature. In Star Wars Rebels, whenever Ezra saw that Zeb was being beaten by Agent Kallus, what did he do? He just screamed and threw out his hands, and it shoved Kallus into a rock.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't know what he did, or even in that same show, in that same season, Ezra unknowingly used the dark side to send that giant monster at the Inquisitor. You know, like they use the Force without thinking. It's survival.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, I think that did the scene with Leia look a little bit kooky? Yeah, it did. But there's only so much that she could do on wires. I mean, come on.
I think that's what bothered everybody about it, was the way it looked. In my opinion, that's what everybody, because she looked like Christopher Reeve going. She pulled a Superman on us.
But I got to bring it back to the cinematography though. Like the panning shot where the camera pans and you see Leia just spinning in space with Snoke's ship and the fleet in the background. That is a poster worthy shot. I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought there was a lot of beautiful cinematography in this movie. I really liked the throne room lightsaber battle.
Well,
I thought that was cool.
I think that was I thought it was possibly one of the it's probably like one of my top 3 lightsaber fights within the saga.
Definitely. I mean, if nothing else, it's the most well shot. I mean, like the in my opinion at least, like the camera just refuses to cut away, and you have all these great, gorgeous, long, wide shots.
And even before the duel started, when it was when Snoke was, oh, I see him. He's turning on his lightsaber, and he's making the killing blow, and you see Luke's flipping around, and she grabs it. She just sticks her hands up and grabs it, and then fire and fight.
It was crazy.
So good.
I love that scene. It's so cool.
And it's
Go ahead.
sorry, Debbie.
It's all right.
And something that makes this scene very, very special to me, in regards to the sequel trilogy as a whole, is this is the only time that we actually see Kylo Ren fight for his life. You know, like in his fight with Finn and Rey in The Force Awakens, he was just toying with them up until the very last 15 seconds of it. Whenever Rey finally opened herself up to the Force and she was able to finally beat a half-dead man.
Yeah.
But in the Last Jedi, Kylo is struggling. He's gritting his teeth. He's really fighting for his life, and you really get the sense that it's a brawl, an all-out brawl, and unfortunately, it's the last time that we see that.
They kind of do in Rise of Skywalker when he's fighting the Knights of Ren, and he's unarmed.
Yeah, but that lasts
he's
all
unarmed.
of 10 seconds.
And then he gets the lightsaber and he's like,
yes,
let's go.
And
that's also a cool fight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But
I love that one.
the Last Jedi is the last time that we see Kylo Ren like unhinged. I mean, in the Rise of Skywalker, he doesn't even raise his voice, whereas in the Last Jedi, he's
Yeah,
screaming. He's
He's
angry.
in the Rise of Skywalker. His anger seems focused. It's not a blind rage. You know, when you had the Last Jedi, you had several scenes where he just went bat crap
bananas.
crazy. And anything else? And then in this one, you had the scene at the first. He smashes his helmet up. Um, when he's facing Luke, I want every cannon that we have to fire at that man right there. Boom, 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 boom.
Do you think you got him?
More.
And
Yeah.
I love the fight scene between Luke and Kylo, because
Is it a fight?
I don't know about a lot of people, but I didn't catch it that he was, a force projection.
Well,
I didn't catch it the first time around.
I didn't catch it the first viewing either, and then somebody who had gone and seen it said you got to go back and watch it because there's one scene where Kylo is walking on the salt and he's leaving footprints, and if you
Mhm.
look, Luke doesn't leave footprints. That's how you know.
Yeah.
It's a dead giveaway. Luke's not leaving footprints, but Kylo is. And I was like, oh, now I got to go back and watch. So if you're out there and you haven't noticed that yet, go back and watch The Last Jedi, because
I only noticed this last time when I watched it today. After watching it all this time since it came out, I just realized it today.
yeah, he's not making any footprints, so he's not really
Yeah.
there.
I think that one of my favorite Kylo Ren scenes is the last part of his first scene after he's done meeting with Snoke. I mean, because you have that really good interaction between him and Snoke in the throne room, but then there's him in the elevator. There's no transition between the throne room and the elevator, and the camera, for the most part, is kept in all the same angles. So you kind of get the feeling that, even though Kylo Ren's position in the scene has moved, the position in his headspace hasn't. And so whenever he finally, punches his mask into the wall, what was standing in front of him before? Snoke.
Yeah.
So with the camera being in the same orientation, you could almost imagine, it's kind of a metaphor. Instead of punching the wall, he's punching Snoke.
Yeah.
And so that right there was a really good setup for his betrayal at the end of the film.
Well,
was it a betrayal or was it a coup?
Well, Snoke had
It was a mutiny.
yeah, Snoke had basically totally embarrassed him.
Yeah. You're nothing but a child in a mask.
But at the same time, though, Snoke's last line in The Force Awakens was, "It's time to complete his training." And so, whenever Snoke kind of gave Kylo Ren those jabs about not living up to Darth Vader, I think that was part of it. I think that Snoke wanted to see what Kylo Ren would do.
Yeah.
And so, he gets on his ship and he goes and assaults the fleet, and he could have single-handedly destroyed the entire Resistance fleet because he was on a rampage. And
and to one of the other things he said, I mean, when he brought him Rey, or when Kylo brought Rey to Snoke,
Another
that was one of the
parallel.
things. That was one of the things that he said was, "My faith in you has been restored." It's you did good, kid.
that'll do, pig.
Yeah, that was another parallel. Him bringing Rey in front of his superior,
The
just
Emperor.
like Vader did to Luke. And
Yeah.
then the exact same thing with Luke in that elevator as they're going up or down, whatever, trying to convince Vader,
I realized that you were once Anakin Skywalker, my father.
well, that he still feels the good in him. Rey does the exact same thing in the elevator ride. I can still sense good in you. Parallel.
You have paid the price for your lack of vision.
Grant's back.
Grant's back. Yay! We love Grant. Leia meditating, communing, and learning from Luke through the Force.
Can't hear you, David.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
What
there we
happened?
go.
there you
Now we can hear you.
Okay. That would have been a good way to go. Yes, I will agree with you. Well, darn it, I had something, and now Grant made me lose my train of thought. It's okay,
Well, I'll
Grant.
put in my other favorite scene because it just made me cry. And this is after the standoff with Kylo. Um, it shows you that he's still on Act 2, and you can see that he's struggling. He's fighting to keep that going. But then, you know, you can kind of see what's the word I'm looking for?
Leaf?
Relief. Yeah, that he did what he set out to do. And then it pans to the sky, and it's the two suns,
Yeah,
the twin suns, and then the binary sunset music comes on, and I'm just like, ooh.
and then he force ghosts himself.
Yes, just like Yoda.
He slipped into the force.
You know, we
Very sad. I will say this, like I said, Cam, I think I agree with you. I think it was you that said you did not enjoy Canto Bite, or
That
maybe
was
it was.
me.
Oh, that was Debbie. Never mind.
I
So
skip through it every single time.
I don't mind it. I mean, it kind of bogs down the pacing for me, but at the same time, it's very hard to make a 4-act film not feel slow,
it
unless you're Christopher Nolan with The Dark Knight.
the
I
the
just
Can-
felt they could have done it a lot differently without.
here's,
I just
you know
it
what,
just felt so unnecessary, and it just felt stupid.
the whole thing with them chasing them through the streets on the horse, the farriers, or I think that's what they were called.
Fall the ears.
Yeah, whatever. The horse things, and they're riding them and they're chasing them through the streets, and I'm like, wouldn't it have been easier to have just turned all those things loose and have all the police chase them, and then you're hiding in the stalls, and when the police go that way chasing them, you're walking out the door that way, and they have no clue.
Well, possibly, but at the same time, it's a lot faster to ride a horse to the beach than it is to walk.
Yeah, but if you're not being chased, you don't have to run. You just go. And honestly, it's real funny because I've been playing Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. I love the game; it's a lot of fun. But I'm working right now on the sequel trilogy, and Luke was asking me, he's like, "Why are you starting on the sequel trilogy?" And it's like, well, that's the only one that hasn't had a whole bunch of games made about it, so I want to see what they've done with it, So we get to the Last Jedi, and the cutscene in the Last Jedi when they go to the horse things, they turn them all loose, and then they just come out of the stall and they go back that way. I'm like, why didn't they do that in the movie? That's what they should have done. But what do I know? We could have had a cool chase scene then.
I just thought it was a lot of unnecessary stuff.
And I will say this: long before this movie came out, in fact, I think it was probably, this movie came out in December, so this would have been like January of that same year. Somebody posted, they said a scene, a scene from The Last Jedi has slipped out. Not even a full scene. There's nothing digital on it. It's all practical, and this is just like an effect shot basically, and they're gonna add in digital later on. But this was something that they'd been filming down at Pinewood, and we hope that this scene doesn't spoil anything for anybody. And all it was a guy on a boom lift with a green ball on a stick, and he was going down the middle of the street with this green ball, and there were explosions going off all around him. And it was the scene, they were filming the scene with the horse things. And it was just like a little 4 or 5 second clip with just him going just like that. And I watched it and I'm like, oh my God, the whole movie has been spoiled for me because of that.
Okay.
Can't
Okay.
spoil a movie in 5 seconds. 5 seconds of unedited film. Come on.
Now,
Spoilers.
could you imagine if that same thing happened with the prequels? It's like, oh, we hope this doesn't spoil the movie, and it's just like a blue screen.
A blue screen. Here it is. Behind the scenes.
Imagination.
Okay. I thought there was one other thing. Before we get done, hang on. I got the cool little clip. Hang on, just one.
Why what? Say it.
Why did you kill him? I don't understand.
Let the past die. That's the only way to become what you were meant to be.
The let the past die scene.
Kill it if you have to.
Kill it if you have to. What are your thoughts on this?
I think in the context of Kylo Ren's character, it works. But I guess by proxy, it kind of works with Rey as well because of her relation to Palpatine and all that. But it works more so with Kylo Ren's character because the past is something he was always trying to grow out of. He was always stuck in the shadow of Darth Vader. He was always stuck in the shadow of his parents, who are esteemed war generals and politicians, and at the time he's just a kid.
Yeah,
and so he had all this pressure dumped on him from a very young age to live up to this legacy that he wanted no part of. So yeah, I think that the sentiment coming from him works on that level. And the thing with Kylo Ren in this movie is he says a lot with a little. But whenever Rey asks him, "Why did you hate your father? Tell me the truth," and all he says was, "I didn't hate him." That one small statement carries a lot of weight with it because it's not like he tells you, okay, well, I didn't hate him because blah, 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 but I did this because blah, blah, blah. No, it's the implications behind what he said that makes you think about it. That's why I love this movie so much. I love the script.
Yeah. Okay. We've been at it for just over an hour now. Some of us love The Last Jedi. Some of us hate The Last Jedi. Some of us
think it's okay.
It's
yeah.
there.
I'm one of the lovers. I can't lie.
There were parts of this movie that I really did enjoy, and there were parts that I just did not. So it wasn't a. I wouldn't say it was a meh movie to me. I did enjoy it, and I liked it because, like I said, because it was Star Wars. And I've always said that. Unless something is really, really bad, you're not going to find me saying anything negative about.
Except for Resistance.
Well, Resistance is a different.
The Clone Wars pilot movie.
I like the Clone Wars pilot. I went to the theater and saw that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No way.
I thought it was good. I enjoyed it.
It's cheesy. It
was rough.
I'm being facetious. Don't get me wrong.
Well,
I don't dislike it. I just think that it's just silly, dumb fun.
You know what, Cam? We're gonna have a show where we talk about that movie, just so you have to watch it again.
Well, I was gonna say, well, good for me because I have it on DVD. So
Yep.
Great.
I've got it on Blu-ray because I'm cool like that.
Well, to be fair, the only reason I have it is because somebody gave it to me.
But it was a Christmas present. But something else too, and I find this very interesting. As much as people say that as much as the fans say that they do not like this movie, it is probably one of the most talked about movies in the trilogy. I mean, how many times have we? We went through Attack of the Clones, and it was like, it's probably the worst one of the prequel trilogy, and yet we talk about Attack of the Clones all the friggin' time.
Correction, I talk about Attack
You
of the
talk
Clones
about Attack
all
of the
the
Clones
time.
all the time. And again, The Last Jedi, this is one of those ones where people are saying, oh, this is like one of the worst movies, one of the worst Star Wars. It just ruined Star Wars for everybody. And it's like, yeah, but how many times did you go see it? And why are you still talking about it? If this was so bad, why have you not buried this like you did with the Ewok movies or the holiday special or anything like that? Obviously, I like the Ewok movies.
I did too. It's just there's those little things about them, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen them.
Neither have I.
So
Isn't the main kid in that Mace Windu? Like, isn't that his name?
No,
What?
it was Mace. It wasn't Mace Windu, but it was Mace.
Oh, I could have sworn it was like that was his actual name.
That was the kid's name, yeah. Little boy's name. Go watch
it's just another clone of Palpatine.
it.
No, that's next week.
Mace and Sindel. Mace and Sindel. I can't remember what their last names were though. Well, we'll do the Ewok movies one of these weeks too. And then we'll make you guys have to watch them.
Okay, you're gonna make me watch those too.
They're on Disney Plus. You know,
I know they are.
So
you should see my Google search history. How to delete movies from Disney Plus.
So, any final thoughts? Last Jedi. Anything we didn't cover that you wanted to cover, Debbie?
No, not on Last Jedi.
Not on the Last Jedi.
But I do want to make a statement
go
later
for it.
when everybody's done. No.
Okay. You'll wait till the end. I got you. Cam, final thoughts.
It's my favorite Star Wars film. Not ashamed to say it. I'm sad that all the fan backlash from it probably ensured that we're never gonna get a Star Wars film like it again. I think that's a shame, but we have it. We got, and I'm gonna continue enjoying it. So cool. I can only hope that future Star Wars stories continue to really try to break the mold.
I do really hate it because, well, I don't hate it, but I hate the fact that the fans hated it so much that it ruined Solo.
Yeah.
I hate that.
I'll buy that.
Because it's not a perfect movie, but Solo's a fun movie. And it's a origin story, backstory, which if everybody even has known me, knows I love backstories.
And I think that's one of the things too. We didn't have enough time between this movie and Solo.
No, there was only
to really digest this movie.
4 months.
It was this came out. Came out in December, and then Solo came out in May. So it was like 5 months. Yeah,
they should have waited a little while longer.
And then we had 18 months in between Solo and Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, Charles, final thoughts? Anything floating around up there?
I just think The Last Jedi is a pretty solid movie. It's not, it's not the greatest. I think Rise of Skywalker is better, but that's
blasphemer.
That's
you're gonna make Cam mad.
Oh, I can't wait to have you on next week.
So, okay, Debbie, go into your monologue.
No, I was just gonna plug Monday night.
Oh, yeah.
MCU Mondays.
Yes. Yeah, shameless plugs. Let's do
shameless plug. So, if you haven't watched the latest episode of Moon Knight,
not yet.
Holy cow, are you in for a ride?
God, I love it.
It was. I still don't know what the hell happened. I'm still trying to figure it out. But it should make for a really good show Monday night. So make sure you tune in Monday night.
That's right here on
9:30.
Yep, right here on the Geek News Now YouTube channel, Facebook page, Twitter page, Twitch page. It's all over the place. 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun with the Marvels.
Yep.
So if only I could.
And hopefully I won't forget my notes this time.
Yeah.
Just like I did for tonight.
And I have a new Cam and Focus coming on the 30th. Yes, the 30th of this month. The last one was Titan AE. Check it out if you haven't. This one's going to be about Aragon. So
Mm.
I just
Do we get enough? Wait. Are we going to rant again? Do you get a rant?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Love
it.
And see, like, I don't even have a huge connection with the books. I only read the first book back in, like, I think my freshman year of high school, so I hardly remember anything about it. So I'm watching this from the perspective of somebody who basically hasn't read the books. So, and even then, it's just...
Do the Golden Compass, because I did that same thing with I've never even read the Golden Compass, but I watched the movie and I was like, this is just horrible.
Yeah, I only ever saw that movie once, and once
And
was
that was
enough
enough.
for me. But now that you said it, now I have to consider it.
Just a thought. I'm just trying to keep you stockpiled with some Cam and Focus. And Charlie, we look forward to seeing you again, and we look forward to seeing some of the stuff you write on geeknewsnow.net. We love to see the articles coming out. I have been your host, David. We hope you've enjoyed all the fun and banter we've had with The Last Jedi. Hang on, we've got, let's see, Grant's throwing you a bone there. Titan AE rocks.
Yes.
Cheers, good people, good night. It was a good movie. Solo was weak, but delivered on the aspects on which we just... Okay. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in and joining us. We will see you all next week. And may the Force be with you all.